Seurat and the Sea shows the wonderful seascapes that the French painter Georges Seurat made over 5 consecutive summers away from Paris. So every year he went to the coast to, as he said, cleanse his eyes of the days spent in the studio in Paris. And it was a way for him to get back to rendering natural light, as opposed to the more artificial light that he was used to representing in Paris with his scenes of the music hall and can-can dancers. Here on the coast, on the Channel coast, he looked at the boats and the sea, and this was a way for him to also experiment with his very radical technique of these small dots of pure color.
In museums elsewhere in London and around the UK. And this is a very different approach where...
Because Seurat died at the age of 31, so young, there are very few canvases by him, only about 45. He's better known for his very large monumental canvases like a Sunday on La Grande Jatte. And so we don't think of him as a seascape painter, but actually they represent more than half of his production, and they were so important for him. And yet they're overlooked because of the popularity of these other great works. But for him, they were as important.
Out to the sea, then in the middle one, you can kind of see the bridge. You're actually in the same spot. So here he turns north to the sea, and here he turns west of this particular site. And it's also the case for his collection of works by Seurat. But he's obviously a very daunting artist, the elder. So actually getting a group of his works together, I wanted to do that because he is such an interesting artist. And so 45 canvases, and that these works were actually an absolutely vital.
Seurat was a very interesting figure. He was incredibly reserved. He liked to paint on his own, so he never went to the coast on holiday. I can't really imagine him in his swimming costume. Indeed, he was working all the time. But crucially, in the exhibition, we not only have these large exhibition paintings, as he called them, but also these smaller sketches, and those he did in his little travel paint box. That he took around the cliffs and on the beach, and indeed we found grains of sand embedded in the paint.
I think a lot of people are familiar with Seurat because you think of his like Bathers at Asnières at the National Gallery or his Sunday Afternoon at the Grande Jatte in Chicago as 2 big works. But I don't think people realize there's a lot more to him, and also the fact that he didn't actually produce that many paintings. I think people think of him as being ever present, but there's not that many of his works out there, so it's quite a rare opportunity to get so many together.
What he does, which is so unique and adventurous, is he takes his paints, and it's almost like we're looking at a jewel box. Like every dot looks as though you've opened this wonderful gleaming box of jewels. You've got the whites, they look like pearls, and the greens look like emeralds, and the reds look like rubies. They look backlit, which of course is how we're used to seeing the world today, you know, seeing it through a screen, backlit. And he sort of was like a prophet as well, how we view the world.